All right, folks, hello and welcome back to Downstage Gaming. I'm your host, Josh, and this is part 11 of our B-Sides, Let's Play of the Letter, excuse me. When we last left off, things are going quite different for Rebecca's chapter here. Last time was mainly focused on our sort of discovery of Isabella getting into the car accident, and we spent most of our time in the hospital. We got super pissed at Ashton. And here we are now outside of the hospital room, and things are eerily quiet, and no one is here, which leads me to believe certain things, but, let's see where this goes. If I have enough mental capacity to take this on right now, I will gladly do so, just to get everything over with. But the way things are, and I am now, I'll only end up doing more harm than good, both to myself and those around me. Besides, the more pressing matter is getting out of this place, because when I look up from my phone and finally take in my surroundings, only an unfamiliar hallway greets me. Brightly lit as any other corridor here, though oddly void of people and the usual hospital clamor. No voices announcing over the intercom, yelling for Dr. Vogel to get in the room ASAP. No beeping from machines inside the rooms. Not even a single patient waiting, or the occasional doctor or nurse on their rounds. I must have taken a wrong turn somewhere while I'm busy worrying about those phone calls earlier. That ought to teach me something.
Of all the places to get lost at.
I've never thought much of hospitals before. They're a necessity. Walking alone in a deserted area inside one, however, with the walls coming off too white, too clean in my eyes, and perhaps even too dull, I can't help but feel a bit queasy about it. A heavy, unsettling feeling lands on my stomach. It's a bit unnerving, but far more agreeable than the sensation of being watched I've been enduring these past 2 days. I know I shouldn't do this here, but...
Hello? Anyone here?
Oh, I don't like this at all. Faint footsteps and a murmur of voices echo from somewhere. Still, no one responds to my call. It merely bounces off the walls before dwindling, until all I have for company is the sound of my footsteps. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I feel like this setting is actually the scariest setting we've been in so far. Like, far more than anything in the mansion. Just the idea of just a completely empty hospital. Kind of freaky. Admittedly, this is a little disconcerting. But for now, I let the distant noises guide me as I walk along the empty corridor, looking for that exit that'll lead me back to the main lobby or anyone I can ask for directions. A good minute passes, and another. I'm about to turn around and retrace my steps when...
Mother!
The sound of it makes me halt. It's a little muffled and infrequent, but grows louder after each passing second. With the hallway devoid of people, I don't have to strain my ears to pinpoint where it's coming from. Not too far ahead, in fact. Just past the sharp turn at the end of this corridor. And clearly, it's the voice of a child.
Where are you, Mother?
On a normal day, I won't concern myself with this, considering where I am. Hundreds come and go here every day. Whatever business they have here, whether they arrived in tears or not, I've got nothing to do with it, and vice versa. Personally, I don't think a stranger's worry would do much when there are nurses and doctors already attending to them. But that also begs the question why a child is here, crying, possibly on her own. Did she happen to wander here, like I did? If so, I can't just very well leave her here, can I? I can't even find my own way out. What more if it's a child? Though I'm quite sure the hospital is a safe place, and the roaming staff will eventually find her, who knows what else might happen if I just leave her here?
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
I'm trying to figure out who this could be. I don't think we've had a child yet in our sort of story of the past, at least not one that I'm aware of. In any case, I don't have the heart to turn my back on this, not when the kid's just a few meters away from me. I mean, obviously Takako sometimes, possesses Kylie, but that's a different thing. Might as well check on her, make their job easy, and bring her with me to the lobby where her parents can easily find her. It's not totally out of the way. So gingerly, I seek her out, taking light, mindful steps as I approach where her sobs come from, hoping not to startle her. My caution, however, is ineffectual. The closer I get, the more frantic her sobs become. I try to ease her fears by calling out to her, but...
Hey! Hello there? Can you hear me? Mother, please! She's here! She's here, Mother! She's going to take me!
What?
I'm not going to hurt you. Are you lost? She won't leave, Mother!
So, I mean, obviously she's not... Well, not obviously. I'm making the assumption that she's not talking about Rebecca here, but instead this is like a vision of the past that we're getting. So either, my guess is, either this is Takako's daughter, the maid's daughter, or it's Charlotte's daughter. And either way, the other one is coming to take the child for some nefarious purpose.
I'm heading back to the lobby. Do you want to come with me?
I mean, I could play the song. Let's all go to the lobby.
Your mom could easily find you if we go there. Mother, I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away.
You know, I know I suck sometimes, but like, this is pretty harsh.
All right. Why don't we just find someone who can?
Suddenly, she cries out, and in a flash, her stifled sobs grow louder and more violent, fraught with fear and dread. It doesn't take too long for a little fact to register. I'm not the one she's talking to from the beginning. Whoever it is, she doesn't want the person with her in there.
Mother, she's here. Help.
I don't think twice. With all the haste I can gather, despite the weariness of my bones, I break into a run before panic sets in. Damn my own safety, but if something happens to that kid, not more than a few hours after Isabella's accident at that, I won't forgive myself. I may not have been able to do anything for Belle, but this one's right in front of me.
She's going to hurt me. Help me.
I won't just sit this one out like a useless person. Another scream ripples through the air as I near the bend. However, this time her sobs die down along with it. A wave of cold creeps through my whole body as the entire corridor goes wholly silent. Quiet has never been a good thing in situations like this. In 3 more steps, I make it around the corner, bag ready in my hand, only to be greeted by a wall the moment I turn into the adjoining hall. Hello, Charlotte. A dead end. It takes me a few slow moments to take it all in, despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. No sign of the girl or whoever's with her. Just an empty alcove and a single painting sitting on a bare wall.
Where did they...
A quick scan of the area reveals nothing, not even a hint of a scuffle. The only way out of here would have been the sliding door standing adjacent to me, but even that looks untouched, bolted shut to boot. The corridor I've just passed through seems to be the only way to get here, apart from that door. I would have met them if they tried to leave. I'm far from having Ashton's keen observation, but that certainly didn't sound like a simple tantrum you can shove under the rug and forget about. Anyone making a desperate cry like that would have left things in disarray.
Especially a child.
Yet, I'm the only one standing here, in the presence of a painting that looks to be mocking me and the absurdity of my actions. Although, to be fair, the real Lady Charlotte Ermengarde probably won't be doing any of that sort. Local history has constantly written and spoken of the woman fondly, endeared to everyone, much like her parents. Yes, I'm sure there's nothing but truth to that. History always looks correctly on people. The beloved child and heir up until she took her own life. A pity, but that's a lesson for another day. Above my worries over what I heard and finding that child, I've yet to find a proper way out of here. Thankfully, I don't have to fret over it longer. Soon, another voice calls out from the opposite end of the hall, one of the custodial staff, from what little I could glean of his uniform at this distance. He doesn't bother hiding the annoyance in his tone. From the sound of it, this doesn't appear to be the first time someone unconsciously ended up here. That, painting's really doing a number for this janitor, huh?
You there! What are you doing?
Away from the painting!
I'm sorry. I think I took a wrong turn somewhere.
Well, wherever it is you want to go, it isn't there.
I'm really sorry. I heard someone crying here and I thought...
Lady, this place is off limits to the public. Has been since a month ago.
What happened a month ago?
Closed off for renovations. Didn't you see the signs back there? Next time, learn to read.
It won't happen again.
Whatever. Get out of here, lady. Exit's back there. Second turn on your right. Don't let me catch you here again.
Or I'll kill you! Strange, though. He doesn't wait around for me to leave and walks off after saying his piece. Not certain if it's because he's simply tired of having to fend off unauthorized personnel from roaming in here, or he's just gotten to the point that he no longer cares anymore. Shaking my head, I step back from the alcove and prepare to head out, but not before taking a glance at it again, just to get a good jump scare in. I'm not even sure anymore what I'm expecting to see before me.
Must be the wind.
Must be the wind. That's usually how it is. So without another look, I leave it alone. Cut back to, yep, just gonna say, cut back to the portrait and jump scare, and okay. Is that this Rebecca's chapter version of the bloodied locker, or is that still coming? Okay, so Yep, we had them yell and then, okay, painting time. Alright. Coming home feels like a lame attempt at normalcy. A false return to it. Although what surprises me more is how easy falling back into my usual routine is after I forcefully tucked all of my worries away. For the rest of the afternoon, against what I've told Zachary before leaving, I busied myself with every unimportant, mindless task I can get a hold of. What can I do? Sleep simply isn't that easy to come by at the moment. By the time the sun sits well over the horizon, much of the work I've got scheduled today has been finished. All that's left for me is to deal with the mail. Even Isabella's family has been given notice of the accident, regardless of how I felt about doing so this morning. Didn't take too much effort, actually. The words I've been turning around my head, the same ones I've been dreading to deliver, have long since lost their meaning after that little call with Ashton. Now they're just phrases, syllables, meaning nothing. Her mum took it well, in spite of that, but if there's more to the unruffled reaction she gave, it's one thing she doesn't let show.
So very much like Isabella.
Just because of the kind of life she has back home? Not that I'll ever fully understand. I'm my parents' only child. We aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I didn't have to think about bills or food for the next day, or paying for any siblings' tuition on top of my own, or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have to worry about were my grades, if it gained Mom and Dad's approval, or what we'd be having for dinner. When put next to hers, they all pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues this way.
Petty issues?
Okay, I am remembering this. Is this, but no, because, okay. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of fancy-looking letter, pretty ribbons and all. Yeah, we've definitely seen this. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on the envelope alone. Nope, okay, we're still can't skip it though. Verging on ridiculous, really. I can already imagine Isabella wrinkling her nose if she sees this. Then she'll complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself. As if simply brushing a hand against its crisp surface will be enough to put a crease on it, and it'll be a terrible slight to the sender. But as extravagant as I find this, it isn't really the first time I've received one. Most of the time it's not even for me, so who am I to complain? Either way, no look of surprise crosses my face once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' names written in a neat script.
Nothing new then.
Alright, we've definitely seen this, but it's not gonna let us skip. Alright. This one, though, gives off a much more personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old students, people who've grown fond of my parents, and they, in turn, treat like children of their own. I've only met a few of them. Most have moved on, become successful in their chosen careers, and little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mom and Dad are proud of, rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times when I just get insanely jealous. There are times when I wish they'll remember they have a daughter here. The real one. Not that it's of any importance now. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provided for me. They did. Wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for their hard work. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's a small thing, as letting them know they've got another mail waiting for them. Phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mum, her voice warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
My best friend might be dying.
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm
Come on.
alright.
Come
In case
on.
anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive,
We've
darling.
seen
There you
this.
have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that mail arrived for you. I got it last
Okay.
night, but
Alright. This is
things
slightly
happened.
different. A lie. Thankfully, she doesn't notice. Although, if I'm gonna be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it, but I put down that idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy. Yeah. God forbid, you know, they care about what's happening in their daughter's life.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
Now, Rebecca.
Becca Manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry, you are cordially. It's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party from Hannah.
The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. Must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing it to memory. There are a lot of Hannahs in the world, so who knows.
Hannah.
She also wrote you a
Wow,
note,
we've
and
absolutely seen this.
she misses you.
Ah!
Would love to see you two again.
I mean, I said it last time, but really, I mean, it is kind of sad how much even just reading that is Okay, I guess we're on a different timeline, even though we have definitely done this bit before. To go to... Oh god, so we we have been in the same little square here for a while. Okay. Makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them, the same ones I want to tell them. I want to see you too. It's been years since we've been together as a family, and if there's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mom and Dad are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, always on some meeting or symposium, sometimes for months on end. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I'd like to think that's how I become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times, I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hannah. Hannah Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2
Taught you
years
how-
older than Becca.
Taught you how to get the boys,
Did
you
she get
know.
married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But they grow up so fast, these kids.
I mean, the fact that he can
Yeah,
accurately
she
remember that
invited
it's been
us to
7
that too.
years, he is
40
very
Diamond
impressive.
DG. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I could go in your place.
Yeah, he'd let it slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mom's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other thing, doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule.
Schedule?
It's all right. The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
Hot
I
date.
see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
That's gonna be the plan this time, I think.
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties, but I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring... I can always go alone.
Aww.
I'm a big girl now. I can handle these things. This isn't too much of a big deal.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem
Well, what
for
about
you,
that
I don't see
Isabella
why not.
dear?
We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hannah for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This too, I can't recall. You know, you had sort of a, you know, wicked thing going on. You know, she's sort of the alphaba. It's probably one of those things where meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. Sorry, you would be the alphaba, actually, Rebecca, wouldn't you? She's the Glinda, really. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only people I remember clearly from that time in my life is Ashton and Mandy. Who's Mandy? I asked this last time, I still don't know who Mandy is, to some extent. Mom must have sensed my confusion because she laughs.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them.
You know how rich people are.
Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Maybe we'll start dating, who knows?
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. A hearty one, tender, and always light on my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is the part of her I love the most. The sound of it still echoes even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago, when life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things far from our minds. If given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. I don't dwell on it though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over a phone call, then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. Soon, the exhaustion I've been keeping at bay since last night rushes over me, creeping to my tired bones, weighing heavily on my sore muscles. Here and now, I allow it. And with another night I'm about to spend on her bedside, watching over her, waiting for that tiny bit of miracle to happen, I can't afford to stay like this. Bloody hell, Zachary will know in a heartbeat if I didn't follow up on that promise. So with another sigh, I put everything at the back of my mind and tread back to my room. A long night waits ahead of me. So I take a little nappy poo, and 4 hours later, heading back out after a short nap, ready and dressed for a different waiting game at the hospital. An empty traveling bag dangles freely in my hand as I head straight for Isabella's room first, unlocking the door with a copy of the key. She lent it years ago after I complained about the mess and offered my help in cleaning up. I thought the gesture was completely unnecessary back then. After all, I could always knock. But she never did bother taking them from me, always returning it or turning away from the conversation whenever I insist. At one point, I've simply stopped trying to hand it back to her. Who would have thought I'd be using it for this purpose?
Isabella, I'm coming into your flat, all right? Your aunt asked me to bring you a few of your things. Don't worry, I won't touch that thing you've been hiding under your bed.
The porn. Laughable, this vain attempt at courtesy, when there are no ears on the other side to listen to them. So without waiting for the answer she's not here to give, I push the door open and step inside. I think that's kind of cute, though. Her unit's still a mess. Instant noodle cups on the table, pile of clothes on one side, papers strewn about everywhere, and an unkempt bed, among other things. This much is a given, will always be a given. I've been here several times already, and I still wonder how she can function like a human being with a place in this state. She didn't even bother turning off her telly last night before leaving. Now I don't understand why this is, like, a separate branch, really. Because, like, this whole bit, like, is, like, obviously there are small differences, but, like, we did this. Now it's filling the room with even more depressing
The
news.
authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death. Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
Sighing, I reached the remote to turn it off. You're not going to make a connection there, Becca? I was kind of hoping you would, like, think about that a little bit. No more of that. We've got plenty of negativity going around us right now. No use for critical thinking. Besides, she'll definitely complain about the electric bill if I just leave it, even if it's entirely her fault. Get rude. However, that's neither here nor there. This little detour isn't for this. It's for her aunt. A little request from her, if we can bring a few of Isabella's stuff. Hi, thanks for letting me know about this. I'll be by in a few days. Just need to sort things out with my work. Won't be too much to ask. Could you bring a few of her stuff to the hospital? Only for 2 or 3 days, so I can head straight there. Thanks. Thanks. Just for 2 or 3 days, to make caring for her easier when she takes over for us. She doesn't elaborate much. The message itself is short and direct, no mention of the accident or even Isabella's name. But the mere lack of it holds enough gravity. It speaks of the things we all dread facing the next few days, little truths we'll have to ease into after. Both of us know this isn't a one-day thing. It may last weeks, months, bloody hell, some even continue on for years. Thinking of those numbers alone drains the optimism out of me, but I refuse to wallow on them. Think of what Zachary said instead. He's right. He has a point we've all known about her years ago. She is stubborn.
And she might make it through because of it.
The odds are, so to speak, astronomical. But she's beaten worse before. She might not even need that miracle the doctor so blatantly told us to avoid hoping for. If she tries hard enough, she'll probably win over this with willpower and nothing else. If that ever happens, as unsightly as it may make me seem, I will laugh at their faces. Yeah, that's a little weird. Just imagining how it might go brings a smile to my face for the first time. Somehow it calms, and the whole task of packing what little essentials she might need becomes less of a chore. In less than half an hour, I'm done. Before leaving, I spare Isabella's room one last glance. Disturbingly quiet now, without her in it. I'll get a chance to scold her for this mess later, then we'll argue about it like we often do, like normal. But for the moment, my concerns are best left here. She doesn't need these She doesn't need those right now. Back to the hospital in the evening. Okay, so this has been kind of a long day. Okay, we got the pack. Even before, it never crossed my mind I'd ever feel apprehension over a hospital visit. No one in my family has experienced illness to warrant an overnight vigil, and when a relative did pass away here some years ago, I was still all too young to commit the details to memory. I recall the tears, but the emotion simply felt too distant to stick. In truth, everything I remember of hospitals are the bright lights, the cozy private rooms, and the doctor's tender smiles.
Until last night.
Now, the lights glare, shining far too brightly, intensely against my eyes. The smile from the on-duty nurse founders under every single uncertainty. The room at the end of this ward looms forebodingly ahead of me. This being the second day has thankfully dulled the edge to that. Somewhat. There's still the voice at the back of my mind, whispering, expecting the worst, while hoping to all that is good in the world that I won't find an empty bed and an equally graver news upon my return. But I push these all down as far as I can the minute I'm near her room. It won't do for Zachary to see me this way. He'll send me back home for sure. The latter won't do either. I'm not going to let him. When all the help we can get will only be between the two of us until her aunt arrives. Until that call with Ashton, counting on him to show a stupid mug here sits right next to Hopeless. You'll be surprised in a few minutes then. He's probably still out there playing his equally stupid detective game. I know he's just doing his job, but he didn't have to put it that way. What exactly is there to avoid here? He's so willing to face everything head on, but this? How absurd. Regardless, whatever the answer to those, we'll have to wait along with many others as I give the door to Isabella's room a mild push.
Hey, scaredy cat?
My hand stills. Oh, that's right, because Zach is asleep right now, and he saw Ashton there at the bed. Oh, and that's why she's so pissed when she comes in. Oh, no. My whole body freezes, stopping me almost a hair's breadth from fully opening the door.
Ash?
I'm sorry that he loves her, Rebecca. Come on. A frown soon follows my confusion. There, set on the edge of the bed, is the last person I ever expected to see here, no mere seconds ago, sitting almost too comfortably at that, with a small smile gracing his face. As if last night's events haven't taken a huge toll on him. But it's obvious. His fatigue is there, the tired lilt in his voice, the detached look in his eyes, and the manner his shoulders droop. He's barely keeping himself together. Just looking at him right now makes me regret ever shouting those words at him this morning. Anger can be a delicate thing to hold. An apology immediately forms in my head, already at the tip of my tongue, although before I can even string two words together, he continues. He has yet to notice my presence, and I've yet to make myself known. But somehow, something in the way he speaks next prevents me from doing so, despite the casual note he takes. Something anyone, including me, isn't supposed to ever hear from him. Something deeply personal.
Really, how long are you planning to stay like that? You've been criticizing my sleeping habits, yet look what you're doing. I hope you know Zach and Rebecca are already losing sleep over this.
Ashton pauses, holding the moment, allowing his words to seep into the air. He means that as a reprimand, or I assume he does. It sounds like one from the way he's phrased it. Yet the tone of his voice betrays their very essence. Not long into that silence, he chuckles. Low, close to breathless, and if I listen closely, I'd say there might have been a hint of long-held fondness in it.
But this is how you've always been, isn't it? Clumsy, careless, a scatterbrain and a crybaby. Always getting in trouble. Always getting us in trouble.
He trails off. Another pause. Another held breath. Then he sighs.
Always making me worry.
And with it, the air inexplicably shifts to something gentler. Warmer. A quiet little thing filling the room that neither seeks to stifle nor confine. Instead, it only lingers in the silence, bearing simple truths no mere words or grand gestures can express. When he finally chooses to break it, he does so with all the care in the world. Softly, in hushed tones, fragile in it itself.
But those things...
Because sometimes all it needs is not a thunderous declaration, but a single fleeting second of small smiles, tender touches, and sincere honesty.
Those things... I love those. And everything. Everything that's you.
I was kind of planning this time because of the nature of the B-sides to try to see about getting, Rebecca and Ash more together. But seeing this makes me want to not do it because Ash is clearly in love with Isabella, and I know that breaks Rebecca's heart, but it's like, it would feel weird now. Here in this room, amidst the faint whir of machines and the soft moonlight streaming from the windows, in this little space, those words roar louder than the briefest of sighs, and that lone second forms a memory. One he'll probably keep even after this moment fades with time. One I'm intruding on, never meant for my eyes to see or my ears to hear. the prayer that comes at the end of it is never for me to behold either.
This place feels a whole lot emptier without you. So please, if you can somehow hear me, come back.
But I can't bring myself to turn away. Even as silence once again sweeps into the room and only the beeping of the machines remains. Even as he himself cowers under what everything he said stands for.
This is stupid.
Because I understand with the most painful clarity the other truth this scene proffers. What the tiny gleam in Ashton's eyes, his darting glances, and his kind smiles convey. Little things, little gestures. To others it may seem nothing, but to him it means the whole world, because it's the only way he can say everything without fumbling or losing his nerves. Right from the very start. I know. I've always had an inkling. The thought has always been there, hiding, tucked, and neatly sealed away at the back of my mind, in the same manner he keeps his own secrets close to himself, which is why there's no jolt in me, no surprise. Just a slow, aching, burning realization of a truth long held, of feelings never meant to be for me. And yet, in the end, a flash of anger still surges within me. Poor Rebecca. I do feel bad. And yet, in the end, yep, I already said that, clenches, pierces, leaving my heart torn and numb, draining every color and noise in the world around me. The back of my hand hangs weightless in my hand as the magnitude of those words gradually closes in on me. You didn't want to hear this. You didn't want to see this. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't have gone here. But before I can move and force my feet to take the first few steps to save myself, Zachary's voice echoes from the room, deep and still rough with what's apparently sleep. Utterly clueless of what has just transpired only minutes ago. How I wish I could be so as oblivious to it as him right now.
Hey, Ash.
Everything snaps back into place as its sound, and the veil lifts from my mind. All my reasons for being here rushes back to me along with it, no longer held by that familiar bitter feeling slowly consuming my thoughts. But it's still there, coiled in a tight knot in my chest, simply waiting for another chance to unfurl itself.
How long have you been here?
Just came in a few seconds ago.
Lies.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you.
Figures. It's not a problem. You probably need to rest anyway.
You're the one talking. You look like shit.
So I've been told.
Seriously, how long have you been up?
18, 20 hours or so? It doesn't matter. I'll get some shut-eye later. Where's Rebecca?
Funny how he remembers me now. Not a few moments ago, he has unknowingly taken that one little thing I hold dear and allowed the burden of his bloody sentiments to crush it. After all these years, I'm the one that becomes the afterthought. But I take this mention of my name as my cue to compose myself and hide all these somewhere safe, preferably somewhere no one else will find, just like how it has always been. Ultimately, this isn't what I came here for.
I sent her home early, but she'll be back too.
At the light rap I give the door, Zachary breaks off mid-sentence at once. Their eyes are on me when I slide into the room, though their attention doesn't really stay. Soon, the bag I'm carrying catches their eye, they're both shooting me bewildered looks. Zachary, in particular, appears about to say something, but can't quite place how he'll articulate it. A swift glance at Ashton tells me the same thing, though the question in his eyes comes off more passive, muted. I raise a hand at them before they can say something about
It's not mine.
The light mood changes as soon as I've finished. They know, I don't have to spell it out for them. I don't think they want me to, when that reality is just lying a few inches away from us. Either way, the atmosphere doesn't last. The world isn't done rendering my heart useless, as it turns out. Even Zachary, clueless as he is, gapes at me with a worried crease in his forehead. He has the right to be. The bitter tone my voice takes once the conversation turns elsewhere surprises me, too.
No, I'll take it from here.
You don't have to do that. Zachary and I can handle this for a few days.
Both of you already had your turn with this. It wouldn't hurt to have another person helping out.
This isn't some sort of a competition, Ash. We're doing this because someone has to be here for her.
I'm not making this one. I just volunteered, didn't I?
Despite knowing Ashton only means well with his offer, hearing it directly from him, seeing him throw his affections around as if no one knows, it stings. It burns.
Don't you have an investigation to finish?
And Zach has freelance gigs in line for the next few days. You have students to teach. Don't push it, Becca.
Yet when all is said and done, the only thing I do is beat a hasty retreat while that green-eyed monster rages inside me.
All three of us have things to take care of on our own, but between us, it should be easier to find some time to...
Fine. Good.
This isn't the proper place for it. With my words too strained, too quiet, no amount of anger would get my own feelings across to him. 17 years, and it never once did. What more now?
Do what you want.
It ends with 3 steps and a hastily shoved bag. In all honesty, I'm not entirely sure what I'm expecting will show in Ashton's face. Anger to match mine? Confusion, maybe? Perhaps regret? It certainly isn't the straight-faced one he has now. However, more than that, beyond the impassive mask he wears and the passing minute I lock gazes with him, I see it. And the glimpse of it, out of everything tonight, is what shatters all that remains of my restraint. I don't wait for him to say anything. Quickly, I tear my eyes away from his and march towards the door, ignoring the worried glances Zachary shoots my way. My heart may be far from fragile, but neither of them needs to see it break. The door closes with a soft click, but for a long moment I remain standing amidst the empty hall, taking in the silence, listening for anything that'll dare break it, waiting for that hammer to finally fall or the ground to swallow me whole. None of it happens, of course, and for what's perhaps the 100th time in the span of a second, I'm left to recall what I saw in Ashton. It's not hearing the thoughtfully worded admission of his own feelings that did it, nor seeing those unguarded, yearning glances he gave her, but facing the faraway look in his eyes and who he has always seen past me, past the person who has always stood in front of him. I never had him in the first place.
I love him.
The words itself leave a bitter aftertaste in my mouth despite wanting them to be heard for so long. Suddenly, at their mere utterance, the world goes too still, too bright, too sharp, too cold. Ever so slowly, a chill seeps into my heart and settles there, replacing a warmth I no longer remember feeling. Distant, much like the only memories I have of this place. With nothing else to cling to, I run. Behind me, the door once again creaks open, and Zachary calls after me, cordial, friendly, and utterly unsuspecting. I ignore all of it. Because even after all this, his isn't the voice I want to hear. Whew. Man, it's always Rebecca that gets me. I don't know, maybe I sympathize with her in a number of ways. That's some rough stuff, Becca. I'm sorry. Alright, well, we're gonna have to see where their relationship goes from here and what else awaits us in Rebecca's B-Sides continuation here next time. Until then, this has been Downstage Gaming. I've been your host, Josh, and I will catch you all next time.